Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Life Show episode 54 tonight. Sort of a special HTC One M8 type of show, since we haven't actually talked about it on air yet since it was released, which is kind of crazy. Anyways, I'm Kellen, your host. With me, Ron, Kyle, Tim. Everybody say hi real quick.
Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here.
Hey, this is Ron.
This is Kyle. Hey.
So welcome back after a couple of week break. We were traveling last week, some other things going on, so we are finally back. And yeah, we do want to talk HTC One M8. Just can't get over the name. We'll talk about that in a second too. We'll talk that for a while, just because we have plenty to share. Both Tim and I have the device and have had it for over a week now, about a week. We'll also talk Amazon's Fire TV, if it's the next big deal. Google potentially releasing a standalone camera app that might maybe fix all of their terrible camera issues with Nexus devices. Remind you about Google I/O. Maybe answer some Q&A, which is live if you'd like to join in on that. Apps and games as usual. Maybe talk a little April Fools to wrap up the show. So let's start off with this HTC One M8. It feels like so long ago, but last week it became official. HTC did announce it, and there was absolutely no surprise that I can think of offhand, but we did get availability on all carriers essentially within an hour after it was announced. We also got unlocked and developer editions, and then a Google Play edition, a ridiculously overpriced Google Play edition, might I add. And you could actually go into a Verizon store who had an exclusive on in-store availability for the first 2 weeks, and you could pick it up. So I went in and picked one up since Tim was out at the press event, and it's now available. If you ordered it from AT&T or Sprint, I believe you could have done one-day shipping and gotten it the next day. So if you wanted the HTC One M8, you should have no problems doing so at this point. Let's just do a round of initial thoughts now that the phone's official. You guys have seen it. Tim, obviously, you've had your hands on it for a while. And just get your guys' thoughts on all that stuff. So, Tim, you want to start?
Sure, I can start. Well, folks, it's been 7 days since I've had the M8 in my hands, and, well, wait, more. It's like 8 days now. Anyways, wait, yeah. Anyways, my math is a little off. I'm still on East Coast time. So, let's see, the M8. Well, my feelings, I've been thinking about this, like, ooh, what am I going to say about the M8? I kind of feel the same way about the M8 as I did the M7, last year's one, whereas in, at first I kind of fell in love. I was like, wow, this is a really premium device, super nice, build quality's excellent, but then you have it for more than a few days, and you're like, things start becoming apparent that are quite annoying. For example, the bezels are huge, the thing weighs a ton, it's tall as hell, so when it's in your pocket and you bend over, it pinches your thigh skin, and you're like, God, what is that bug in my pants? But it's just your phone biting you. And then the camera sort of lackluster. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not good, you know? Like, it's good for Instagram and Facebook and the things that I do, but I know a lot of people, you know, they want better quality from their mobile cameras, and I don't think that this device necessarily delivers everything that you would want. You know, besides that, KitKat fixes all. Like, KitKat all the things, because the device is super smooth. Snapdragon 801, I mean, the specs are there. Sense 6 is great. It's at least a step in the right direction. I still hate Sense just because there's something about it. It seems very intrusive. Other than that, I like the M8. The display is really nice, but again, those bezels, there's just so much phone where there should be more display.
There's a lot of phone. Yeah.
There's a lot. That's a lot of phone, baby. And
giant HTC bar at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, Jeff Gordon, their senior PR person, took to Twitter and was like, you know, there's actually stuff under that black bar, like wires and stuff like that for the booms. And I'm like, get out of here, dude. Like, come on. Can't you just, like, you know, wrap that around something else? Like, it's
just
just
hire another engineer to move some things around, or so you can
exactly. What do we pay these people for? So
well,
it's crazy.
Presumably that could. I mean, I don't know if I remember seeing them talking about how like the whole thing is aluminum, basically the whole chassis now, because the aluminum wraps around the edges. You've got to have space for the radios to come out somewhere. That's why, like on like on the first iPhone that Apple made, it was aluminum except for the bottom black part because you need to have radio signals go out, and it's difficult to get those signals out through aluminum. So it's possible that that's why, because they have the IR blaster on top, and maybe that's the only way to get the sound out without having to have plastic on the sides.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
could be.
I don't know. I haven't opened it up yet to find out what the deal is. I don't think I ever will. Take a little micro screws to it.
Did
or anything.
iFixit do a
I haven't even
breakdown?
seen
Yeah, they
the
did do
screws.
a tear.
Yeah, you'd have to snap the front off first because there are no screws. It's not a very industrial design like I care for, say on the Galaxy Gear. Although it is quite metallic. Other than that, boom sound is kick-ass. I mean, what can I say? Boom sound's always amazing. The IR blaster's great. HTC remote is awesome. I mean, dual camera gimmicks. I mean, give me a break. Kenlin talked about this in his post, and I'll let him get into that if he wants. But, you know, the 3D stuff, what is the effing point? Because
So
the
bad.
only thing I can do is show people, and they're like, okay, you're a nerd, first of all. Like, look at you. You're, like, tilting your phone trying to show me
Yeah.
something. I can't send it to anybody. No one's going to be able to see a 3D thing on their phone or Instagram or Facebook. It's so worthless. So, you know, I get the depth. The depth sensing is pretty cool, but I would have rather had OIS, maybe 8 megapixels or something like that. You know, like I think they came up so short in the camera department. So that's my thoughts on the M8. It's cool, but once you have it for maybe more than a month, I think you're gonna grow tired of it. Because I picked up the Nexus 5 yesterday, and I was like, this thing is a beast. I love the Nexus 5. So, yep, there it is.
Anybody else? Ron, you got any thoughts on it?
Ron felt it. In
I
fact,
did.
yeah, I met up with Ron, and let me tell you, he's just as black and white, as black and white in person as he is on here. So, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, it's true. I think my favorite part about finally meeting up was Tim going, "Oh, you're taller than I expected."
God, he's so
That was the
tall.
first thing he said to me. He goes, Ron's a lot taller than I expected.
So, but yeah, I got to play with it for probably about a minute. Yeah, I think the thing, and that's what I told Tim when I first held it, is just it's giant. I haven't ever held the One Max before, but I can't imagine trying to hold that thing. And it is heavy, and that was my first thing. You know, we were sitting we met in New York, and after walking around there some, I'm just like, I would not want to, like, walking around through New York or any place where you're walking around, like, I would not want to pull this phone out and hope that somebody doesn't bump into me or I drop it or whatever, it's going to shatter. Like, it's just, like, that's the problem with those giant phones. Like, they're hard to hang on to, especially when they're kind of top heavy because they're tall like that. Like, I'd be so paranoid about that all the time, which makes sense why everybody slams their phone inside of a case if you're doing stuff like that. But I think it looks really nice. I just wish it was smaller, kind of Moto X size. Moto X I can hold in one hand, and I don't feel like I'm going to lose it as much as something as big as that. And I think, and honestly, like Tim showed me some of the pictures he was taking on there, and I think they look really nice. Obviously, we're seeing them on a smaller screen, but I thought they looked nice, and they definitely looked a lot better than stuff that I've taken on the Moto X. I think if you're looking for a phone that can take decent pictures and you're only sharing them on social networks anyway, you're not, like, if you're going to go print pictures, then yeah, you're not going to want to have a 4.1 megapixel camera. But for basic sharing and stuff like that, I think it's fine. I think the Duo stuff, being able to adjust the focus points, we had a video on that kind of showing how you can do that. I think it's pretty cool. The 3D thing is definitely a gimmick, but I think the Duo thing, like, there are legitimate use cases for that, especially if you're, like, editing photos and stuff like that, and you want to do, like, legit blur in the background instead of just adding it afterwards. So I think it's a good phone. I would definitely recommend it to somebody. So I actually just recommended a G2 to somebody upgrading from the Galaxy Nexus, and I felt weird about that. But the original one was in the running; they had to go on the cheap. So, but I think it's a weird name. I still think it should have been the One Up, but I think it's a good phone. I think it's competitive. I think it looks a lot better than what Samsung came out with. I actually think it looks better than the Moto X as well. I just wish it was smaller. If it was smaller, I think that would be a lot more appealing, at least to me, and maybe to others. Maybe other people don't care. they just drop their phone and they've got a year for HTC to replace it anyway. So
People still surprise us because they
Exactly.
love giant phones, and none of us apparently do, but everyone else in the world or something
Everybody.
seems to. Yeah. Kyle, what did you think?
I know I've said this in the past, but I'm still not a huge fan of the new design. I just prefer more angular phones, to be honest. Even the G2, which is, I mean, not the most angular out there, but more than the new M8, I like better. So I'm just not a huge fan of the aesthetics. And I think, Kellen, you and I mentioned this earlier before the show began. The speaker grill alignment is so annoying. I mean, little things like that just bother me. And
OCD.
I know, it's a curse. And like many other people, this may be necessary for the radios, etc. But I just hate that HTC bar at the bottom. And I got a chance to try out the phone in a Verizon store earlier this week, and like everyone is saying, it is very tall. And I just don't know if I would be comfortable with holding and using a phone that tall. So personally, I'm not a big fan. I do think it is a substantial upgrade over the original. I'm sure the battery life is better. I'm sure it performs faster because of the upgraded processor, 801 versus the 600 Snapdragon. But I just am not sold on the look. And that's kind of a major deciding factor for me when I'm looking to purchase a new phone. That's all I have to say.
So I have like thousands of thoughts on this damn phone. Well, Tim and I are going to do a review. We're going to try to get that thing out by Friday. We're sort of tag teaming a review since we both have all sorts of things to share. But so I ran through the other day, last week, just some rapid fire thoughts, and I was looking back through them before the show, like what's up with the name? Why is it called HTC M8? That just seems weird. And we're using code names now, apparently, as official product names, which I think is odd. But the camera, so we can talk about that real quick, or I'll just mention real quick. It takes fine pictures, I think. Like, it actually takes pretty decent shots for... it takes pretty decent shots for a 4-megapixel camera. I think the problem is, and you don't necessarily have to be someone that moves photos to a computer and edits them and crops them and all this stuff. But if you take a picture on the M8 and you just do a pinch to zoom, because I think a lot of us probably take pictures and pinch to zoom in and look at things, immediately you can tell that it's a low resolution picture and you see no detail and it just lacks any of that which you can get on from any other camera. But outside of the camera, the phone feels pretty amazing in hand, although it is heavy. I think it's like 160 grams, which is kind of crazy for a phone. And then it's obviously too tall. So for me, the biggest three things, and I don't know that they're deal breakers or not quite yet. I'm still trying to get there. But camera obviously is a little disappointing unless you're just like Tim and Raw mentioned, you're just sharing to Instagram and Facebook and things like that. The size, I keep trying to figure out a way to get used to it, but it really is a tall phone, especially when you hold it up. So if you guys haven't seen this, here's the original, and then here is the new one. So it's a lot taller, and yet the screen, is only 0.3 inches. So it's a really nice phone. I love the on-screen buttons, the headphone jacks on the bottom. It has a micro SD slot. They added all these really cool gestures. Tim mentioned boom sounds awesome. The display's gorgeous. You can get developer editions, unlocked editions, or Google Play editions. It's available everywhere. You just have, I guess, for me, is the camera okay for what I want to do with it? And can I get over the size? And I guess hopefully by Friday when Tim and I do a review, I'll have decided that. But overall, there's a whole lot to like. HTC came close again. We keep saying that about every phone now, I think. Everyone's close to making the perfect phone, and then they screw up something. Like the Nexus, they screwed up the camera. This phone, maybe the camera and the size. Samsung, because they do terrible software on everything. So I don't know.
It's all up to OnePlus, I guess.
I guess so. I hope not. I really hope not. So we've got the Galaxy S5 coming on the 11th. So that's 9 days from now. So we'll have some really good comparisons hopefully soon, and we'll let you guys decide hopefully by then what's going on there. But I don't know. I really like the M8, and I keep like Tim said, he picked up the Nexus 5 the other day and was like, "Oh wow, this feels great." I've done the same thing. Picked up the Nexus 5 and gone, "I really miss the Nexus 5," and I use it for a few hours. Then I go back to the M8, and then I like the M8 again. So it's really a toss-up at this point. Really nice phone though. There's just a couple of drawbacks, like always. So let's see. I guess we've kind of gone through complaints, what we like, what we don't like. What else do you guys want to talk about with the M8? I guess with what you've seen, Galaxy S5 or
GS5.
M8. Tim didn't even hesitate there.
M8.
Ron says M8. Kyle.
Oh, what? What?
M8.
What?
I mean,
I just had to wait to hear what Tim was going to say.
Go
both
for
have
it,
their
yeah.
both have their pros and cons. I'm not a huge fan of the aesthetics of the GS5 either. You know, it's the so-called Band-Aid bag. But
Don't just jump on the bandwagon and say, "Oh, it looks like a Band-Aid." I didn't even think of a Band-Aid until I saw,
now I can't stop thinking of a Band-Aid though when I see it. I just associate it with that now. I know. It's social media's fault. You guys suck.
I just think it
Ryan-
looks like
Ryan
a brown
Stewart's-
turd.
She's the one that posted the original picture.
Kellen, that's a lot better.
Yeah, it just looks like a brown turd.
brown
Dimples.
turd.
No, well, as we've been told by an objective source, the Galaxy S5's screen is the best on the market, and I have an affinity for AMOLED, even though I jumped to a G2 from a Galaxy S4. I do miss the AMOLED. Great viewing angles, awesome color accuracy. I love that oversaturated look, but I don't know. At the same time, wow, there's a really loud sound in the background, guys. Sorry. At the same time, I don't know. This is going to sound silly, but I love my G2, and I wouldn't trade it for either of these. I think we may have to look beyond them for the next superphone.
That was deep. That's really deep. Look beyond. Yeah. Well, my feelings. I mean, if I had to choose one or the other, I would go Galaxy S5, and I haven't really had too much time with it, but just because that new TouchWiz interface on top of KitKat, I'm really looking forward to. And, of course, the camera, I'm sure, is just going to be legit.
It's going to destroy all the other. It's going to destroy the HTC One.
Yeah, I mean, naturally. HTC is just lazy. I hope that Samsung slaughters them this year.
Wow.
And I'm over it. I'm over it. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
You hope that Samsung just kills off HTC for good this year.
Monopoly, yay.
It's getting there. I think it's getting there. No, I was always the one who said no monopoly. Like, I want HTC to do good, but they screwed me. Yeah, I don't know.
Then Samsung would have even less incentive to iterate.
Yeah, well then maybe it's going to be up to LG to really bring it then. 'Cause I'm excited for the new LG flagship this year. That thing should be sweet too. As long as they kind of stay on that right track with the camera and the software, I think that'll be an awesome phone. I mean,
the G3 should be awesome, yeah. As
Yeah,
long as it's not glossy and gross on the back like they did with the G2.
I do realize that the G2 had a couple of downsides, and I'm sorry to everyone who rocks a G2 because we don't talk about it more, but because it's a completely underrated device. It's fantastic, but LG's skin is just unbearable. So, yeah. And the G Flex, I wish that thing was smaller because that would be an awesome device, but it's just not good at all. And yeah, either way, GS5 for days. I'm really excited. We're like a week and a half away from the release of the GS5, and I'm just here like I keep looking at the M8, wishing it would turn into a GS5 because I want to go out and take some sweet pictures and not carry around like it. I mean, the GS5 is light. I think it looks better. That's just my opinion. I want it in white, and I think it just looks super hot. So.
It would be very interesting to see the camera tests of the GS5 with that new technology they're using, right? It's not OIS, but it's something proprietary, like MIPS or something.
Yeah, they're doing something, you're right. I can't think of what it is offhand.
I think I wrote about it. Can't remember though. I think
you probably
if you see some like side by sides GS5 versus the M8, it's gonna be so clear as to who.
Oh yeah, it's not even going to be a
camera
competition.
right.
No.
I don't know why HTC would even bother putting a camera on the M8. I mean, if it's only going to be this, when you have Samsung who's pouring money into these
HTC
cameras,
doesn't
it's
have
crazy.
cash to pour into anything. They have like none.
They gotta mortgage their headquarters then or something. They gotta get some. They gotta get some ends.
That's
Throw
funny.
some ducats at this thing.
I just don't get how they can take last year's camera, which most people didn't really like all that much. They complained about the same things they're complaining about now. But then they took OIS out, and then they tossed in a depth sensor, which lets you refocus things after the fact. But Samsung and Sony and everyone else on the planet is doing that with one sensor that's also not 4 megapixels. I just don't know what the hell they were thinking. Maybe they just had a whole bunch left over that they needed to put in phones because they didn't sell any phones last year. I don't really get it. I don't understand that move. And they're going to defend it and defend it and defend it. The resolution on the front camera is bigger than the one on the back. You got to be kidding me.
Isn't there something to be said, though, for software versus hardware refocusing? I mean,
Yes,
that's what you're
absolutely.
referring to, right? Yeah, I'm sure Ron was going to say something about this. But,
It's still software refocusing.
No. That's why you have the two cameras.
Yeah, but it's still software that's doing all the work afterwards, and it does a terrible job at it. Did you guys see that video I posted?
That may be true. But at the same time, in theory, the two-camera setup should provide better shots, and the software can be improved over time. You can improve. Yeah, you can improve a one-sensor setup. You'll just have to. You'll have to, do the best you can with whatever focus length that's camera is.
The big issue is creating a solid depth of field there. That's what it's trying to do.
Right.
And so, in theory, you should be able to, with the two sensors, that should do better. You can BS it with software, like that's been available for a long time. Like I can make the background of a picture blurry and tell you which parts I want to be blurry or not. Like that's not hard. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's not. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's most of what Samsung's doing to create depth of field, is figuring out, okay, hey, where do you want to focus on? Okay, let's blur out the rest of it and increase it as distance, goes on. Like that's nice. Like that's a nice feature. I do appreciate being able to adjust that. Basically, you're just adjusting the f-stop. Like that's good. Like that's great. But I don't know. I think everybody's been being kind of harsh on the M8, and I think they did something that Motorola wasn't able to do, even though Motorola's been the darling for the past year with the Moto X. But having used the Moto X for some time now, the camera is garbage, and that ruins the phone for me. If you don't take pictures, then fine, it's a great phone. But it was really difficult for me to like I said, I had a buddy that was needed to upgrade from Galaxy Nexus, and I just couldn't tell him to get the Moto X. I'm just if you're taking pictures of your kid and stuff like that, you're gonna hate it. So you've got to get something else. So it's just, I think HTC should they have put they could have put a higher resolution camera in there. I guess they could have increased the megapixels so that you could blow up your pictures more. But we haven't seen any Android manufacturer outside of Samsung and maybe LG do really, really outstanding cameras. And generally, that seems to be just because they were getting the software down, which is honestly a very difficult thing to do. Google hasn't even done it. To get the software right, that's a difficult thing to do. So I think HTC did a good job, especially considering where they're at in the market. They're losing money every quarter. Despite putting out what everybody claimed is the best hardware and everything else like that, and putting out a good enough camera where you can take it takes decent pictures. They're not amazing. You don't want to print them out, but they're good enough for what most people want to use them for. It's certainly better than the Moto X. It's a little bit outrageous that despite having great build quality, good enough software, good updates, they've got developer edition devices, they've got Play Store devices. They're trying to do everything to appeal to mass market and to Android enthusiasts, and yet they're still kind of marginalized. I think that's kind of crazy. Could they have done better? Absolutely. But I think they did it. I think they did a pretty good job. I think they came out with a phone that doesn't look like a Band-Aid, which is great. It's, and they are doing the iterative thing. Everybody seems to be doing that on top of their devices now. Nobody's really coming out with major new redesigns. But I don't know. I think they did a good job with what resources they had and everything else like that. They don't have Samsung's budget. And to me, like, knowing Samsung's budget, knowing all the capabilities that they have, that's what makes the S5 so much more disappointing to me. It's just saying, you guys could have taken this so much further, but you didn't redesign the chassis. You guys haven't, like, TouchWiz has been complained about. We'll see how the final version of TouchWiz looks and acts and everything else like that. But I expect more from Samsung. From HTC, I just don't expect as much because they've just been pummeled in the market after years of success and after years of being hailed as a great manufacturer, and now they're just kind of on the wayside, which sucks.
Yeah, I definitely think the new HTC One is an ambitious phone. They may not succeed in all the areas I wanted to, but I mean, putting in a camera setup that is a couple steps short of Lytro is impressive for as small a company as they are comparatively. So, I mean, I personally don't like the look of the phone and some of its features, but I'm impressed. I'll give credit where it's due.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any denying that they actually made one hell of a phone. It's just all these little things, and maybe we're all piling on these little things because they're the only little things and we need something to complain about. I mean, there's not a lot wrong. Like, I don't have that many things to complain about with it. I just think they gave us a gimmicky camera. And like you said with the Moto X, and I was thinking about this the other day. I think I actually wrote a comment somewhere about it. I think the Moto X won for me, even with its terrible camera, because it felt so amazing in hand, and it had all these software features that weren't gimmicks, that actually did things that improved the way I use my smartphone. And HTC isn't doing, for me anyway, this is just me personally, the camera's not amazing, but then the phone also doesn't feel as good in hand as I want, and they didn't do enough on the software. And although they did some stuff, because they
did a lot of stuff that is improved, like the double tap to wake, like all that's great.
Yeah, so that stuff, and I use that stuff all the time. At least the double tap. I don't really use many of the other gestures, but something that simple really does change. So they've done all this stuff, and then for me, then again personally, it just comes back to the size and the weight and all of that stuff, and that's what I love so much about the Moto X. So I think I can live with a camera that I don't necessarily love, but I think size and all of that stuff plays a big role in it as well, which I think is why I'm such a big fan of the Moto X. But there's no denying that HTC built a phone that looks better than, well, again, appearances is a personal thing, but I think looks better and feels better just in terms of quality than any other phone ever built. But there's just all these little things that just don't make it. And I guess I'm still hating on phones because in 2014 I want the perfect phone, and I thought HTC had a chance to really come close. I mean, shit, they put the headphone jack on the bottom, which is something I've been asking people to do for years. Like, they did all these things, and then
it actually doesn't make any sense to me anymore. Now that it's on the bottom, I'm like, wait a tick, this doesn't work at all, because I pull the phone out and I have to completely like.
Who puts the phone bottom down? You guys are weird. If you're putting the phone bottom down,
you put it bottom down because you got the speaker thing coming out the top, man. It just makes sense. Like, it makes. I'm actually against Kellen now for the first time ever. After this phone came out, I'm like, okay, the headphone jack needs to be on top, people, because
it makes no sense.
I'm with Tim for the first time.
Thank you, Ron. I love you. Anyways. Something else I wanted to touch on is HTC. The one thing that they did right was make this phone available instantaneously. Like before Galaxy S5, Samsung can start cranking out sales. You get people hyped on this phone so much, and then you're like, and you can go buy it. Like, go get it. And that was huge. I thought that was so great for them to do, and it's really exciting. Although I will say, as someone who works in the industry, it sucks when I can't walk around with like something exclusive and be like, yeah, check this out, it hasn't even come out yet, and then everyone else can have it, and I'm like, oh, there's no exclusiveness now, and it sucks. But
the crazy thing about them waiting to announce it until it was available to ship is that's why it leaked left and right. Because there was no way for them to keep it under wraps anymore.
Yeah, of course. Once it hits carrier stores, they're carrier employees don't care. Like, they're just like, oh, time to leak it all. Yeah. So.
And then people have to test it. Yeah, everything.
Of course. Yeah, it was fantastic. I love the leaks. The hype beast. Let it.
But it
run
was
free.
kind of cool. Like I was sitting at home watching the event, and you were there. But once
You
it
just
got
went to the
done,
store?
I just drove over to a Verizon store and walked in and said, "I want the new HTC One," and they go, "We're waiting for them to announce it." It was actually really funny. They go, "We're still waiting for it to be announced," and it was 10 o'clock, like the minute it was supposed to be, and these guys had no idea. Anyways, that's
Yeah.
different, to completely other story. Yeah, I would agree. It's really cool that you could go buy the phone right away rather
Huge.
than wait. I mean, Samsung announced the Galaxy S5 in February. You still can't buy it.
I know. I'm getting tired. I'm bored. I'm like, come on, man, with the GS5.
Yeah.
So they need to do that stuff more often. It was great.
Yeah. Any parting thoughts on the 1.8 before we move on? Move out of there. Final shot.
Great last phone, HTC. We'll miss you.
Great.
Ouch. So
They're making the Nexus tablet apparently this year, so we'll see a little bit more from them. And they have wearables
With an
coming.
Intel
and a
processor.
watch.
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of stuff coming.
Yeah. What random rumor before the phone was announced? Didn't somebody suggest that they were going to announce their smartwatch at the same time and surprise everyone? That didn't happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I was in after I picked up the phone. It takes a nano SIM, and of course I only had a micro SIM, and from the Nexus 5, and so
You just
I
cut
went.
it, right?
No, I was in New York. I didn't have my toolkit with me, like Kellen has.
A pair
And,
of scissors?
I'm not gonna take a pair of scissors to my sim and be like, yeah, I'm
And
gonna hope I
ruin
get
it and
this
then just be
right.
screwed, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, so I was there. I went into AT&T, and I held up the phone and was like, yeah, I just need to get a nano SIM on the same account that I have for this device. And he's like, oh, Mesh, did you? And so there's an HTC rep standing right next to me, and I heard him over talking to the AT&T guys. He's like, yeah, we're gonna have wearables by the end of the year. It's gonna be a sick year for HTC. Blah blah blah. I was like, oh crap, here we go. It was fun, but just to hear an HTC rep say that we have wearables coming was nice, And I know that we know from the Android Wear release and all that, but sometimes it's good to remember that these companies, they aren't going to die overnight. They do have plans, and I hope that they're able.
It's going to die over the next few years. It's not going to be overnight.
Right.
Yeah.
Slow
Look at
down.
BlackBerry.
Slow
BlackBerry is
down.
still alive.
It's already on the decline. So I'm hoping that it's not tomorrow that they die. That's what I'm saying.
I think so. We don't know anything about early sales numbers, right? Nobody's been talking about that. All I know is it's not sold out anywhere. I mean, you can go buy the one. Well, I mean, when I walked in that Verizon store, these guys didn't even know it was available yet, and no one else was at the store. And I went to the mall that's right by my house, and no one.
How often do cell phones sell out, though, honestly, nowadays?
iPhones sell out like crazy.
iPhones sell out like crazy.
Besides the iPhone.
Somebody asked me if the Galaxy S5, if they could just go in and get it in a store on the 11th, and I said, oh, yeah. And they asked if it was going to sell out, and I said, probably not. It's as popular as the Galaxy S5 is. I doubt that it'll sell out. Just walk into a store and you can buy one.
Well, it's just crap because Apple completely controls, of course, the limit on it. They create their own hype because they say greatest phone ever. People go and try and buy it. Then they have only a limited amount of the phone in supply because there was like a manufacturing shortage or some crap like that. This is all nonsense.
Yeah, but Apple still sells millions. I mean, even if they're creating this whole demand and
why would they want to? Like, Apple's the one company that's very clearly out there strictly for profit. Like, that's the only thing they care about. Like, that's
how you keep it going, Ron. You
have product. That's how you keep it going. If you don't have product, then somebody might go, oh, I
have product a little bit.
This is available right now. I'm going to get that instead.
No, you have no, definitely not. You have products in very little bits. You give a little here, you give a little there, and then you take it away and say, no, you can't have it. And then people start lining up. They're like, please let me have that. And then you're like, okay, a little bit more. You just kind of slowly feed it.
So what you're saying is you want one. That's what you're saying.
Oh, dude, I've been wanting one. Kellen won't let me get one, though. He's like, I want to review one. Well, actually, the iPhone 5.6, I don't care, what, anything happen. I'm going to review one for Droid Life because if it's, like, big, if it's, like, a normal-sized phone, like for a man, then I'm going to buy it because...
Oh, so me over here with my lady phone? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that would be what we're talking about.
That's so tiny.
Delicate hands.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You're 6'3", dude. How do you control that thing with your massive thumb? Like, that doesn't make
Yeah,
any
exactly. I
sense to
can
me.
like stretch my thumb over the entire screen as opposed to having to use 2 hands while I'm walking.
Yeah, but you
around.
gotta hold it up
shimmy,
to, like,
the shimmy,
stuff. It's
the shimmy
ridiculous.
to get up there to the notification.
Yeah, just try doing that with the 1.
So
That's just a little too
I
small.
mean, when you guys hold your phone, right, you tuck one corner in the palm of your hand, right? I mean, that's how everyone holds their phone, like that.
Like this.
Yeah,
Well,
like
no, because I have
pinky
to
underneath.
shimmy too much.
Well, if
so
you have
I
an
to-
iPhone, you can like pinch it and touch the whole thing. But like a
Yeah,
normal
yeah.
phone,
It's almost like it was designed for somebody to use with 1 hand.
amazing thought there.
like the Moto X.
Like the Moto X.
Yep, that fits right there.
So this is a random story, but involves
Random.
Moto X. My wife dropped her Moto X the other day, this last weekend. Cracked, just shattered the hell out of it. And first phone, I think, in this household that's ever been dropped and cracked. Obviously, I've cracked plenty phones on,
Mostly just by gently
pounder
setting them down,
cost.
right?
Yeah, something like that. This thing's shattered, though. It's spiderwebbed. I don't know where it is. But anyway, so she wanted the red Nexus 5, so she stole the red Nexus 5 from me. And she was complaining today about how it's too big compared to the Moto X, and that's what she liked about it. And I said, I know, I'm sorry. That's the only phone like that, unless you want an iPhone, which you can't have.
Or the Z1 Compact.
Yes, the Z1 Compact.
Z1.
HTC One Mini, right?
Yeah.
That thing's gonna be a beast. 13 megapixel back-facing camera.
Yeah, I love how the camera on the One Mini is going to be better than the camera on the One M8.
Well, better.
Wait, is it going to be called the
sort of
One Mini M8?
subjective.
Is it the One Mini
Yes,
M8? Is that what it's
right.
going to be called? I really hate the name, by the way.
I could
I
tell.
really
guess, I
hate
don't
it.
know.
Yeah.
Now every time we type it, we have to put in parentheses M8 after it.
Well, otherwise you would put in parentheses 2014.
Yeah, but I like typing 2014 other than M8. Just stupid. Come on,
Just
HTC.
type 1 up.
I get the feeling that HTC, because all the leaks kept calling it the all-new HTC One, that they said, no, they can't be right on one thing. Let's just call it the M8. Then we could tell it apart from last year's.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
anyways.
Genius.
I have
All right,
nothing
let's.
else to say about it, yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing else about the M8. 40
All right,
minutes.
so Amazon had a big event today. Actually, I don't think Amazon ever has big events. If you ever look at their press events, they're always crammed in these tiny little rooms. There's only ever like 25 press there. It's not like
It's not the one that I was at.
HTC. Oh, was that a big one? What was that for? Was that one of the Kindle Fires? Or
For
something?
I forget if it was for the first Fire or the second. I think it was for the first one.
Those are pretty big, I would guess. The one today, it looked tiny. They just crammed a bunch of people in a little room. Anyways, they announced the Fire TV, which is their video streaming set-top box, and it also is a gaming box, and it's $99. Actually, Tim, do you want to run through this? You actually were all over this thing today. Tell us about the Fire TV, Tim.
Fire TV. Yeah, I could do that. Boy, it's so sweet. So, like a couple of weeks ago, there was a controller, I believe, leaked for it, and we were like, oh man, what's this thing going to be all about? And today we found out. It's for the Fire TV from Amazon. And it costs $99. Specs are not too shabby. When we talk about set-top boxes, we don't usually discuss specs. But since this is also a gaming box, we're like, oh, well, specs matter. Most certainly. So inside, you have a Snapdragon S4 Pro quad-core processor, clocked at 1.7 gigahertz, with 2 gigs of RAM and an Adreno 320 GPU. So you can be doing a little bit of gaming. They showed off a few games today, Minecraft, Asphalt 8. I think it comes pre-installed. I want to say with either comes pre-installed or you get these games for free. Minecraft, Deus Ex, and The Walking Dead.
It's Deus Ex. I have to correct you, sorry.
It's Deus. I pronounce it Deus. But that's
Not
another thing.
Deuce. I thought it was Deuce.
That's wrong. You're all
The
wrong.
pronunciation is really subjective.
It sounds rather subjective, doesn't it?
It's Doge X.
It's Deus.
Right.
Oh,
I'd
such
play that
sweeter.
game.
Yeah, much guns.
That would be so good.
Oh, so ammo. So, it's like any other set-top box. You got access to Netflix, Hulu, of course, Amazon Instant Video, Watch ESPN apps, Pandora, NBA Network, MLB Network. The list goes on. Although it does not have HBO Go access, although they do say that it is coming, it's just not launching with it, which is unfortunate. As I mentioned, it is $99, although Yeah, I'm being corrected. It is Deus Ex. Thanks, Rivik. So let's see. I was gonna say, oh, there is also a controller, which you can purchase for $39.99. So that's how you game with it. I think one of the cool things about the Amazon Fire TV is that you talk to it. So instead of using the little alphabetical boxes, up, down, yes, that one, right, no, I did that wrong, so you got to click all the way down to the delete. You can just say, Gary Busey. Like they did that awesome TV commercial with Gary Busey to talk about it. And Gary Busey, he
can sell anything.
He's back crap crazy. And I love that guy. I don't know if you guys watch Howard Stern, but he was on the Howard Stern show, and he just lost his mind, dude. Anyways, Gary Busey's amazing. Let's see, what else? It actually has so many features. Such features. Much wow. Let's see. You can. Oh, it kind of has like the Google Play Movies card things. When you pause a movie, you can get information on characters.
Which they had with the original Fire, and Google totally stole.
Yes, that's exactly right.
X-ray. Right,
X-ray,
it's called
yeah.
X-ray.
X-ray.
Yeah.
Yep, It's called X-ray. They get the info right from IMDb, so it's the most accurate available information possible with trivia, music, soundtracks, characters, and so much more. Again, it's $99. You can do cloud drive syncing with your phones for videos and photos. I mean, really, I was like $99. At first, I was like, man, that seems a little high. But then, looking at the list, it's just, man, that's crazy.
Voice search. You can do voice search. Apparently, actually works or something.
But
it
apparently works.
It's kind of hypocritical because weren't they like during the event, oh, you don't have to shout at your TV, like with the Xbox. I mean, they didn't come out and say that. That's what they were comparing it to, though.
The Xbox One voice control is not as good as I had hoped.
No, it's not.
So yeah, I think I don't know. Me and Killen both have Fire TVs coming. I think tomorrow. I don't know if he overnighted his, but
oh yeah, I overnighted it.
Yeah, I overnighted it because I want it now. Although the controller apparently will get here on Friday and not tomorrow, so that sucks.
That's weird.
But either way, it should be good. We're gonna review it because why not? Thing looks awesome.
Why not? Yeah.
Because why not? This thing, apparently GameLoft is going to have optimized games for it. Now let me tell you something about optimization here. That is such crap. Like, I understand, the want to have it. Say you have a Tegra device and you get Tegra optimized games, and then people who don't have a Tegra device, although they do have powerful chips like a Snapdragon 800 or Snapdragon 600, which can perfectly run these games, the optimized versions of them just fine. I think it's kind of rude, to people in the ecosystem, to not allow them to play these optimized versions of games. So I'm a little bummed by GameLoft doing that, but it is what it is.
Optimization.
Amazon is clearly serious about the gaming side of this device because I saw today they hired, what does it say here? The article in front of me. Kim Swift and Clint Hawking. Apparently those guys worked on Portal and Far Cry. And they also snapped up a game developer earlier this year, Double Helix, I think. They worked on... they produced a variety of games, but most recently the Killer Instinct free-to-play game for Xbox One. So, I mean, they're definitely making a push on that end of things. But I still don't know what kind of, like, who this device is for. I mean,
everyone.
Does anyone else?
For the world. What are you talking about?
I don't know, but, like, everyone who is interested in streaming movies and renting them, etc., probably already has a device that does that pretty well. I mean, Roku has most of these apps, I think. I saw the comparison chart.
Yeah, but this is better than Roku. This is better than Apple TV. This is better than Ouya. This is better than Chromecast.
How so? It has like the same apps. The only difference is it has an app store, but most of the apps are mobile games. I mean, there is one exclusive, I think, game that's launching with it. Yeah, I don't deny that, but I mean, they're just like, they're not. It's not as bad as what Google did with the Google TV devices, but they're just slapping an app store on a streaming device, from what I can see, and selling a controller accessory. I mean, maybe things will improve with all the gaming acumen, they've snapped up over the past few weeks and months. But right now, I don't really see the incentive to get one if you already have a decent streaming box and maybe a game console even.
There's
even
still
if you just have a streaming
there.
box.
There's still people out there buying Apple TVs and buying Rokus and all that. I mean, it's not about people dropping probably what they already have, and like I have a Shield that could do all this. I just connect it up to my HD TV. I could game all I want with a Shield on the TV. That's fine. But I think it's for people who still haven't purchased one, maybe. I mean, for example, not for example, but just along those lines, Amazon has this huge library of content with the videos and music and all that. This is just another great platform for them to sell all that stuff. I think. Sorry, go.
Sorry, I just think I just think the market is kind of saturated at this point. That's all I'm saying, and I don't know how many of those people are out there, that have just been sitting and waiting for the perfect streaming device. I think most of them have compromised.
Oversaturated with crap though, like the Roku. I've never owned a Roku, but I just feel that it's crap.
The Roku is great.
I think it's actually a pretty good product.
The Roku's good. Yeah. We used
never touched it. I don't like the interface. It's purple, right?
It's not. Yeah, it's got a purple too.
I don't like the color.
I think the big thing though, David Pierce over at The Verge had an article today about the Fire TV, which I hate that name, but he was talking about how if you look at Amazon's top electronic devices, the Apple TV, the Roku, Chromecast, those are all on the top list there, and so they're all in this. Everybody's in this space, and Amazon's the only one that isn't. And they've got the content; they want to get it out there. So I mean, there are still definitely people that don't have them. There are very few people that I know that have Rokus and Apple TVs and stuff like that. I think the big thing is going to be pulling in as much functionality as they can and expanding that out. It looks like they have some stuff that's exclusive to Amazon devices and things like that, which is that's good, but making sure they can branch that out a little bit more so that so they can do more, so you can do more things with it. But I think I don't think they're losing money by any means. I think especially if they could do different promotions and stuff like that. Say, hey, you can get one for $50 if you sign up for a new Prime subscription or something like.
I thought this thing was going to be free if you already had a Prime subscription, honestly. I was like, this thing has to be free, right?
I thought it was going to be $50. I didn't think it was going to be. Not that $100 is really all that expensive, but I thought because it's Amazon, I thought they would have made it rock bottom. And maybe $100 is rock bottom for what they're offering, but.
I bet you it's subsidized. I mean, that hardware is not terrible, so.
It's black plastic.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Amazon doesn't make a lot of money though, so it can't be subsidized too much.
But Amazon's stock price is going down after hours. Oh no.
Tim, you were able to follow this a lot more than I was.
I was.
Does it have any sort of with? I don't know if it's built in on Chromecast, but you can share pictures and stuff like that. Does it have anything like that where you can throw up pictures and things like that on the TV?
Yes, instantly.
Does it?
Yeah, if you're using Amazon's Cloud Sync app, it pulls photos as you take them and then loads them right in there. So
okay, but nothing so you'd have to be using that app.
Yeah, I don't think you could do like a swipe gesture and send them to your Amazon. Is that what you mean? I don't think you could do that. Yeah.
Doesn't it also have some features that use the tablets, Fire tablets?
Yeah, so you can do that X-ray thing while you're watching a show on your Amazon box thing, Fire TV, whatever the hell it's called. Then you can do X-ray on your tablet, I believe, is how they're doing that.
Which is perfect. That's how you'd want to use it.
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily want it on your TV.
Yeah.
Well, so I was going to ask, what's the differentiator between this and all of those others? Is it the gaming part of it? Is it access to Amazon stuff plus all the other apps? Or is it just the gaming thing? I mean, when I look at it, I kind of go, well, the gaming thing's probably the differentiator.
Well, you saw Gary Busey yelling at Roku, like, Gary Busey. Like, the voice search, I think, is kind of a big one because for me, I hate typing in on stuff. It was kind of cool, like, say, back with the Logitech reviews. You had your little keyboard and stuff, not that I need a keyboard laying around on my couch all day long.
Well, believe it or not, though, cool. One of the Google TV models had a remote with voice input. They had it was a Sony, I think. I forget the model name, but I had it at one point. Actually, still have it.
Was it running Froyo?
No, no.
Probably.
I think it was Honeycomb? Yeah,
Honeycomb.
I
Honeycomb.
think it was Honeycomb.
Even worse.
3.2. 3.2. The good old days.
Sexy.
No, but it didn't work as well as I'd hoped, but I would assume that Amazon has actually made sure the voice is functional.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, Amazon, in the demos they showed today, they claimed that it was really, really good voice interaction and all
Yeah.
that stuff. I don't know that that matters to me. Like, I have Comcast's X1 platform, which you can download apps and do all this voice stuff. I've never done it because I just don't know that I want to ask my TV for things, but maybe I just use TV like an old man. I don't know.
I think the big buy-in is going to be for people that have bought into Amazon's ecosystem to some degree, whether it's with the Fire tablet or their MP3 service or like whatever. Or if there are people that do use Amazon Prime for video stuff, not just for the shipping. So, so I think that's the incentive of saying, okay, well, if I'm already invested in Amazon, I may as well get the device. I think that's always been Apple's buy-in. That's what Google's trying to do with Google Play stuff. Like, once you start buying products from them, then okay, I'm gonna buy a phone from them. I'm gonna buy whatever else from them. So I don't know if that's a differentiator necessarily, but I think that's how they're going to get people to buy it as opposed to another device. They're obviously not competing with price. So
right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it arriving tomorrow just to play with it to see if it's nice. Because most of these boxes, the UI and their software is crappy, so maybe Amazon got that right.
Slow and janky, right? This should actually perform well.
Yeah, and so I'm interested to see how the gaming side of it works too. Something you can just pick up and play and put down, and there's not a lot of work to it. So, yeah, so Tim and I both will have them, and we'll report back eventually, let you guys know. Let's see. Let's do a couple of quick things and then do some Q&A. Do you guys want to do Q&A? I feel like we haven't done it in a while, so we should.
We haven't.
All right. So there is a rumor out there today that Google is going to finally release, or maybe this was yesterday. Google's going to release a standalone camera app on Google Play. So they can update their camera easily without doing it through OTAs, and potentially could go to other devices other than non-Nexus. I just hope they get it right. They were also going to do the software gimmick that is focusing after the fact, according to this rumor, some other things. So if they're going to do that, I hope they do it just so they can update the camera more often, and I hope they finally get it right for once, because I'm sick of the Nexus devices having terrible cameras. So that's happening, apparently. Google I/O registration is officially opening April 8th through the 10th, and you could sign up anytime between then if you are interested. I believe they put a hold on your credit card, and then they do a drawing, a random lottery, and then if you get picked, then they will charge you, or you can approve the charge or whatever you need to do there. So that's happening April 8th through 10th, so don't forget that in case you want to go. There are both student and regular folk passes there. I believe they're $900 for the regular tickets, and then I think $300 for student.
Yeah,
and
same as last year.
Yeah, and it's shorter conference this year. It's only 2 days. Last year it was 3. So, all right, cool. Let's launch Q&A if I can figure it out.
Q&A.
Q&A. Yeah, I feel like we haven't done one in a while. We were doing them regularly.
They deserve it.
They do. People are just having a conversation in the Q&A, it looks like.
yeah.
What's up, man?
Oh man, that's chaos.
I don't actually see any questions. It's just people like talking to each other.
Well, there's a couple questions about the M8 from earlier.
Okay.
How does the here we go. First one. Boom. How does the battery life on the M8 compare to the Note 3?
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's as good. I don't think the battery life on the M8. Tim's had kind of different results than me. I think the battery life is completely overrated and not great. I've gone because when I do my testing, I'll go for like 3 or 4 days with no Wi-Fi. I won't even turn it on whatsoever, just to see how long it lasts on pure radio. And I mean, I was getting 12 hours, 13. That's not bad by any means. It's just not great. And then if you leave Wi-Fi on or toggle between the two, then I started getting pretty good battery life, which is probably what most people will do, is use some Wi-Fi, use some just LTE. But I wouldn't necessarily brag about the battery life on it. And the Note 3 battery lasts forever. That and the G2. So Tim, you have any thoughts on battery? You've had better results than me, I think.
Well, probably only because I've been sitting at home on Wi-Fi the whole time. Because unlike you, I don't have an unlimited data plan, so I can't just go on 4G LTE downloading apps and all the stuff that I want to do, which is unfortunate, So my battery results are probably a little skewed. But
Definitely skewed.
I think the battery is fantastic. Like if you're sitting at home all day on Wi-Fi, this thing is gonna last you a day and a half, 2 days easy.
But won't any phone? I mean, won't any phone on Wi-Fi last forever?
No. Say for example, I'm trying to think of one like the Nexus 5. Nope, won't happen. Even if you're on Wi-Fi all day, won't last you a day and a half. At least for me, that thing is a nightly plug-in, and I'm here on Wi-Fi all day long with the Nexus 5, and I gotta plug it in every night. Although now that I'm using this, I don't have to. But yeah, the Moto X is also a great phone, which is when it's on Wi-Fi all the time. So
just blame Google. Google can't do anything right.
Well, we know that the Nexus 5 battery is subpar. I mean, that's not a surprise. So
low capacity, yeah.
Yeah. Low capacity.
Let's see.
Although this is not 40% better than the M7. I mean, that's the true question, right? Is this as good as they claim it is? No, I don't think so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it. I think it's decent battery life. I don't think it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying the M8 battery sucks. I'm just saying it's average. I would just say it's average. Yep.
I agree. It's average.
Let's see. Somebody asked. I also have the G2. Is the M8 a worthy upgrade or just wait for the G3?
Just wait.
I would say wait too. G2 is just, it really is like Tim said, and obviously Kyle loves his. It's just an underrated phone. Really is a good phone. Yeah. Not that the M8's not a good phone. It's also a really good phone. I just don't know that it's that big of a difference between the two. So G2 is just a really good phone. If you already have one, you might as well keep it. Let's see.
Real quickly, I was asked, Tim, why are you a HTC/Roku hater? First of all, I had a poor experience with Roku, where again, like I said, where you have to use a cursor or whatever, directional buttons to click for what you want. I mean, I feel like we're in the future, and I shouldn't have to do that. It just seems like such a pain. Beyond that,
as opposed to what?
As opposed to what?
Right.
What do you mean? I don't know what the hell does that mean. What? Opposed to what? As opposed to being able to just talk to it? Yeah.
Oh, God, no.
So, okay, here's the thing. I don't have to talk or do anything. So the way I stream is like, say I have Netflix or watch my movies up from Google Play or rent them. I just type it in, and I don't have to do anything. Like I don't have to mess with a really crappy interface on my TV with my little remote. Like I don't know what the problem. I use a different solution than the Roku. I don't hate it. I just use something else. That's all.
Hater.
Yeah,
Roku
totally.
hater.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you did basically say that you just want HTC to die.
I'm not the only one here that feels that way. Come on. Let's be real. HTC, no, I still like HTC. I'm not a real hater. I'm just a little bummed because, when something isn't exactly what I want, I hate it at first. I'm sure I'll warm up to it, but the camera left me longing for more, as with most things. And I like the hardware is great. I mean, what can I say? It's just HTC. And this is more like a personal thing. Like the way HTC goes about their business kind of irks me. Like they've been defending their phone on Twitter a lot, through their PR people's Twitter accounts, and the way they do business is not something that I find almost like acceptable. I'm like, come on, dude, like.
They almost always seem a little butthurt, right? They always just
like
seem
if we're
they're
talking
the
crap
underdogs.
about, yeah, well, if we're talking crap
Wouldn't you
about
expect
your phone,
that?
yeah,
Motorola didn't act like that, and people
No way.
trashed on their camera.
You would never see people like Motorola firing back on Twitter.
They didn't have to worry about like financials or anything. They were Google backed, so
Yeah.
No one talks crap about HTC having no money. That's like that's the easy joke. Like we're here for like real things. Like we want the phone to be awesome, and you didn't deliver the best device. Maybe you did deliver the best device you could, but I guess we just wanted more. And they have to constantly defend themselves. And to me, it's just like, whatever. You guys did the best you could. I mean, don't. Kellen posted a piece that clearly bashed on HTC. And the best thing HTC could do was go on Twitter and then talk about how we capitalize our titles. And come on, dude, what is this? So it's not that I hate HTC, the company, or their phones. It's just I have a personal thing with the way they do social media and the way they react to the media reacting to their devices. That's all I have. So there you go. And it's all public record. It's all on Twitter if you want to see it.
And so for that reason, you want the whole company to go under.
I think he was exaggerating a bit there.
Absolutely exaggerating. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm sure.
What I did love is, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a thing between a Samsung person, like PR person, and a HTC person going back and forth, like the day that the M8 was announced. It was totally awesome. I'll link that in the IRC when I find it, and because it's hysterical. So, anyways.
So let's see. Here's one. How this guy just says, how the hell is the Galaxy S5 better than the M8? I would say, well, obviously this is a lot of my personal opinion, but the display, which Kyle mentioned, was objectively said to be the best ever put into a smartphone. So the display is better, and I know right now, without even fully testing the Galaxy S5 camera, that it will be better than that because the Galaxy S4's camera and the Note 3's camera are still two of the best ever put in a smartphone. The S5, there's no way it's going to get worse. So the camera will be better. Battery life, I would wager, will be better as well. After that, it's up to you. Do you want a metal phone or do you want a plastic phone with dimples in the back? Do you like, the home button setup? That's kind of up for you to decide. But I would suggest performance, because of battery life, the camera, and the display, and those are three pretty big things, will be better than the M8. At least that's my opinion. Anybody else have anything on that? We can move on to the next one.
I don't want to talk about it.
Tim's like, I'm done talking about the M8.
That's the truth, though. Like, if you want something with a better camera and all that, you have to go with the S5.
Yeah.
They are two different spectrums of the smartphone world. One is super ultra premium metal, which with a lesser camera. One is plastic, which still feels decent in hands. It's much lighter, with an excellent camera. I think it just all depends on what you like in your hand. I know what I like in my hand, and it's a lot lighter than this. That sounded bad.
That sounded bad. Yeah.
I quit. Too much coffee.
This is one that might take some thinking for a second, but it says, here, I'll put it up here. What are your top 3 favorite things, apps, widgets, walls, wallpapers, etc., on your daily driver or your phone that you're using right now? Since I don't know that we want to sit here and I'll think of 3, do you guys have an app or a wallpaper or a widget or something you're using recently that is awesome? While you guys think. Yeah, maybe a new thing. I'll tell you right now, that ACK display that I've been talking about constantly.
God, you love that.
It's so awesome. I use it on the M8 and on my Nexus 5, and it just brings it brings the Moto X to other phones, and you guys know how I feel.
But it still has that problem where, like, if you turn the screen back on too quickly, it doesn't load the lock screen right away.
So that's happened to me only a couple of times.
Like, I saw that happen in the video. I was waiting for it to see if it would happen, and then I was like, oh, still does that.
Yeah, so it did do that in the video, and that's seriously one of maybe 2 times it's done that. I guess if you were locking the phone and then just instantly unlocked it, it'd probably do it often, but I don't find that I do that often.
That's how it used to always be when there was a lock screen replacement in the past. That's always been an issue. But,
yeah, and you can set it up so that it's not your lock screen replacement, which is how the Moto X is. It's not the active display on the Moto X is not the lock screen. So I don't know. That's the
app. You can't unlock your phone.
Yeah.
Back display is hella janky. After downloading that new beta, that thing sucks.
Whatever.
Sorry, because I can't.
Tim doesn't know what he's talking about.
That thing is terrible. I'm like, swipe up. I had a notification. I swiped up. I highlighted it, and it's just not doing it.
Tim just doesn't know how to work it. People don't listen to him.
Don't listen to me.
Watch the video.
I like dude. I watched the.
Yeah. All right. What else you got?
Apps. I like Quiz Up. I play a lot of Quiz Up.
So
And,
boring.
It's so boring.
oh, I'm sorry that you're not a beast. I like the new Facebook app too. How about that? Did you guys like that? That was awesome. I
It
like
actually
that.
looks alright.
I don't have it installed.
Still
Oh,
use some paper.
I set up a super sweet tutorial if you want to go try it out. It's legit. Oh, and I like threes. I don't really have any two new apps though. I'm telling, and if no one is on Simple yet, it's a banking service. Simple is legit. I love their Android app. It's great.
Yeah,
I can't
is
push
good.
Simple enough. I love they need to pay me because I talk about them all the time. I love Simple. So
You need to sign up for the Simple affiliate program. Sure,
I'm
there's-
already on it. I'll link it in the bottom bar. There is no
It
affiliate
does.
program.
It does take a while to transfer your money in and out, though.
What do you mean?
Your
I don't know.
account. Have you ever tried doing that?
Transferring, say, from one account to another?
Yeah, from an account outside of Simple.
Yeah, like 3 business days, I think it takes.
More than that,
Right?
definitely.
Oh, not. I haven't had any more than 3 business days. Writing a
Oh,
check
okay.
is a pain. That sucks because they have to write the check and then mail it. That's a pain.
Right.
So I don't pay rent with Simple because it's the worst service ever when it comes to writing checks. But
Right.
other than that, it's great.
Future is bright.
I just dig the the instant payment stuff. Being able to make a purchase and then boom, it pops up. I can set up goals. So say I want that sweet new pair of shoes, and I say I need it by this date. It takes that enough money out of my account per day to hit that goal, and that's
cool.
great. I think
That's
it's great.
nice.
Yeah, it helps me budget a little. Kind of, I'm the worst budgeter ever, but it kind of helps me with that. It tries to at least, and then I'm like, no
Yeah,
budget
maybe-
for me.
Maybe
yeah.
it's because I use Mint and that other competing service. I can't recall the name of it right now. It used to be Page Once, but I don't know. I didn't find the scheduling features as appealing, but I do like the instant notifications. And I didn't know until I got a Simple account how much, like gas stations will reserve from your checking account, like when you go to pay for gas. Yeah, it's a lot more than I thought. So it was informative. Yeah, but I like Simple for some things. I definitely agree with your recommendation, Tim.
I didn't even know you were on Simple. That's great. We should be Simple buddies.
Simple pals. All right, enough about Simple. Do you guys have other apps or anything?
God, hater.
I like
I'm not
I like-
hating. You guys just shared your financial history for like 10
Microsoft Office. It's free now on Android phones.
That's right.
And I mean, I used to have the SkyDrive app installed on my phone because I use SkyDrive a lot since I have a Windows device, a Windows 8 tablet. So, but the Windows, Microsoft Office app is so much. It has so many more features than. Sorry, Tim, your screen is a little distracting. It has so many more features than the SkyDrive app, and great ones too. Like it's great to be able to just jump into a document that I was editing on my computer, and make a few touch-ups as needed. And I think you can edit docs, you can edit Excel documents. Not that I would ever need to, but it's nice to have that. I don't think you can make changes to PowerPoints, but all the same, I'm pretty impressed with the Office app. Especially now that it's free.
Yeah, I haven't
Thank
used
goodness.
Microsoft Office in years.
But doesn't it still require a Office 365 account?
No, not if you're a home user. If you have a SkyDrive account, then you can just log in with that.
Interesting. Ron, besides Facebook Paper,
Yeah, I think I'm still trying to find. I'm still trying to find something. I switched to Google Drive from Dropbox after the last price change, so I've been using that a lot more. Yeah, I have an app that I was going to share about that's not new. I guess I'm going to share about that now. It's called Space Command.
yeah, let's just merge right into apps.
There you go.
Yeah, so that made my my flight to New York and back bearable. Usually at like the 3.5 to 4 hour mark on a flight, I kind of start to feel insane because again I'm tall and I'm not sitting in first class, so it's just a small space. So that actually made it manageable. So I didn't realize how long I was there. So it's universal apps. You can get it on your phone or tablet or whatever. Basically, you're in command of a starship, and you have like different rooms that you control or whatever. So there's like gunner rooms and healing rooms and command room and all that. So you kind of manage those during fights. That's basically what it is. So it's kind of like there was a crappy Star Trek game that came out. So it's like that, but a lot better. So it's pretty fun. I think it's $3 on the Play Store. So I think it's a lot of fun. It's not new, but they have updated it. I think they even updated it yesterday. So they're continuing to build it out and add more levels and things like that. So take a look at it. It's Space Command.
So let's see, Cover, our buddy
Wait.
Dave Cover.
Did you mean Star Command? Sorry.
Yeah, I always say the wrong thing.
Oh, Star Cover.
He said Space Command.
Well, if people are trying to find the game,
Actually, if you type in
It comes up.
Space Command, it still comes up. Yeah.
I linked to it in the chat.
Someone
All right,
asked us
so,
why.
buddy,
Sorry, go for it.
I was just going to say, Dave Cover releasing a new icon pack on April 11th. It's called Domo. Sweet. Go check it out when it comes out on April 11th. We'll remind you anyway. Anyways.
Yeah.
What was that, Tim?
Nothing. We actually had an official question. Why does Tim hate Ron so much? And that could be furthest from the truth. I absolutely love Ron.
That's true. That was an official question.
Yeah, we just like to give each other crap, but it's all love. So today I'm talking about the Humble Bundle 9. Wow, can you believe it? We're already at 9. In this, what is this? Every month they do this, or every other month, or something like that?
It seems more often than it used to be, right?
I think it was like once a year or something. But
yeah. Either way, the Humble Bundle, you give any amount you want for a certain amount of games. You pay over the average, and you get more games. It's quite humbling, much bundle. So wow. You get, if you pay over the average, which is $351 for this pack, you get Broken Sword 2, The Smoking Mirror, which is like an investigator game. You get Bridge Constructor, which is sort of self-explanatory. You build bridges. So construction. Raven Sword, Shadowlands, which is an RPG, open world RPG, I believe. Haven't played that one. And Typewriter, which I don't know if you read The Verge or any other site in the world talked about Typewriter. It's a history of fonts, and you play as like a little, I forget what the little dots are called over a letter, but you play the dots, and it's a platform game. It's fun. And then they haven't announced what comes. Oh, if you pay over the price, you get Kingdom Rush and Knights of Pen and Paper. Kingdom Rush is, I believe, a tower defense game, I want to say. And Knights of Pen and Paper, I have no idea, but it sounds exhausting. Yeah, and that's it. Humble Bundle 9. I don't know if you guys pick up Humble Bundles, but they're actually a great way to score a ton of great games for a very low price. And you can choose if you want your money to go to developers or charities or anything like that. I think it's great. Such a fantastic idea. So I wish I would have thought of it. Humble Bundle. Am I next?
Yeah, feel free to talk about Cut the Rope 2 if you want.
Cut the Rope 2. Okay, quickly, Cut the Rope. Everyone knows Cut the Rope. It's Om Nom. He's a little character. He eats candy. And he's back with the official sequel. There were kind of, add-ons to Cut the Rope. There was Cut the Rope Time Travel or Experiments.
There's like a holiday one.
Yeah, and there was another one. But either way, there was no official Cut the Rope 2. And now it is upon us. And it was released last week. Let me tell you, the gameplay is great, but of course the developers have to go and screw it up with these ultra terrible in-app purchases. There's a $50 in-app purchase for Cut the Rope 2. Like, come on! Like, you're telling me I can't just buy the game outright for $50 and have no ads or anything? What is this nonsense? Anyways, there's ads. There's in-app purchases, so you can buy Om Nom little hats. There's so much crap, and there's even like a little timer. Yeah, you have like 60 moves or attempts And even if you do it right, you lose an attempt.
Well, that's the worst thing. That's what killed Angry Birds Go, was that you could
Right.
only play a
Right.
couple of races, and then you either had to pay more or use power, which eventually ran out, so you had to buy. And so, yeah, Cut the Rope 2, it's 60 plays or something, basically, right? You can play 60
Ridiculous.
times. Yeah, it's
I
stupid.
don't know. I deleted it before I got to it.
Yeah. So there it is, Cut the Rope 2. If you love Om Nom and you dig that type of, the puzzle or, game type, it's fun, but it does get quite annoying to see ads, and there's no option to just buy the darn game. It really sucks.
Yeah, actually, if you love that game, don't buy it because it's BS. It's a stupid way to make money. So
Yeah.
keep playing the original.
Exactly. Start a petition, whitehouse.gov.
Online petition.
Change.org,
maybe we
everywhere.
can stop them. So,
It's garbage. I hate games like that. It drives me insane.
I know. They're terrible.
Yeah, it is the worst invention ever, the timer. An in-app purchase timer on a game. Because they don't want you playing their game or something. Let's see. So I just wanted to talk quickly about that app called Mark as Red, which we wrote up last week, I believe. So Mark as Red, the developer took an idea that we wrote up about adding a third button to Gmail notifications. So right now, the Gmail notifications either show delete or archive or reply, and we sort of said, why not give us a mark as read so you don't have to delete or archive it, or forward or something like that. And a developer actually created an app that does it, so you can add a mark as read button to your notification for Gmail, which is actually really sweet. I believe the app's just under $2, maybe $1.40. I can't remember. And the guy works, I believe, for MIT, and he seems legit, although it does require some semi-scary permissions. So proceed with a little caution. But it's a cool idea, anyways, that you can add a button there for Mark as Red. So let's see. Should we wrap? Do you guys want to talk about April Fools? I really am so sick of April Fools. Okay.
We don't need to talk. Yeah,
Nothing was funny. Nothing was
worst
funny,
holiday
right?
ever.
Yeah, it was painful yesterday. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about then? We're running kind of over tonight, so any last minute thoughts?
Thanks for joining, everybody.
Well, besides that.
Oh. No, I just wanted to say thank you. That's the only thing I was thinking.
All right, that's really all I'm thinking too. So we'll just wrap up. It's late. So yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. Episode 54. We will join you again soon. I haven't looked at the calendar to see if we'll be back next week. I'd imagine we will be. Yes, we will be. So thanks for joining us. Episode 54. We're Droid Life. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.